Good morning, this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Saturday the 14th of November. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, it's bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see Bitcoin move back through the pivot at 16,255. Take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 16,535. Going to need to see an extended rally for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high 16,481 and break through the resistance at 16,500 however. In the event of an extended rally, could see Bitcoin test resistance at 16,700 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 16,762. Failure to move back through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 16,028 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should steer well clear of sub 16,000 levels. Second major support level sits at 15,748. Looking at the MACD, we had a narrowing of the bearish histogram before this morning's widening, which is supportive of the early morning pullback. On the EMA, however, the 50 is holding its ground on the 100 and the 200, so nothing conclusive there, so need to keep an eye on that. So keep through the early part of the day, move back through the pivot at 16,255 and target 16,500 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Moving across Ethereum against the US dollar, bearish start to the morning. Going to see Ethereum avoid the pivot at 471.03 to take a run at the first major resistance level standing at 484.42. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break out from the highs of 478. Yesterday's high was 478.31. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, could see Ethereum test resistance at 490 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 491.7. We've also got a major resistance level on the trend analysis at 488 to pin Ethereum back. A fall through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 463.75 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should avoid sub 460s. Second major support level sits at 450.36. Looking at the MACD, we've got a slight narrowing of the bullish histogram, but nothing indicative of a bearish morning ahead, so keep an eye on that. On the EMAs, we're seeing a slight widening of the 50 from the 100 and the 200, supportive of further upside in the day ahead. So key through the early part of the day is to avoid the pivot and to break out from yesterday's high through to 480s to then bring resistance levels and 490 into play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar, particularly bearish start to the day here after yesterday's breakout. Going to need to see Litecoin avoid the pivot at 64.28 to take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 68.39. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break out from yesterday's high. That was at 66.66. So, barring an extended crypto rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level at 70.77 and the 38.2% fib at 71 to pin Litecoin back. Fall through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 61.9 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Litecoin should stay clear of sub 60s. Second major support level sits at 57.7. Looking at the MACDs, we had a bearish cross late yesterday and a widening of the bearish histogram early this morning, supporting this early morning pullback. On the EMAs, we're seeing the 50 begin to flatten out on the 100 and the 200 as well, suggestive of a pullback on the day, so keep an eye on that. So keep through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot at 64.28, break out from yesterday's highs to then target 68 levels and resistance levels for the day. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, particularly bullish start to the morning here. Ripple's XRP's up against the first major resistance level at 0.2699 early this morning. A break through that first major resistance level to 0.27 levels would bring the second major resistance level at 0.2739 into play. That would then give Ripple's XRP a run at 0.28 levels. Failure to break through that first major resistance level would bring that pivot level at 0.2620 into play. Fall through there and you got the first major support level at 0.2581 to limit any downside. barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should still well clear of sub 0.25s. Second major support level sits at 0.2502. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bullish histogram this morning supporting this early upside, and we're seeing the 50 EMA pull away from the 100 and the 200, suggestive of a bullish day ahead. So key through the early morning, break through that first major resistance level to then bring 0.28 levels into play.